Once again to have the pleasure of having with us Rabbi Rietti, who will be speaking on the greatness of being tested and chavod.
I'm very grateful to Rabbi B'Sus for inviting me to share with you this evening on the all-important subject of Olam HaNisayon. This is one world of one big long test. So I dedicate this presentation to Ilui Nishmat, my father, Eliezer ben Avigdor. Should be an aliyah to his neshama. Amen. Question. Our sages, when they give labels, is it based on statistical analysis, popular opinion? Or is this a Masorah? This is actually a transmission starting from Moshe Rabbeinu, from Moses, all the way down to Yeshua, Joshua, and the Zkanim, the elders, and then down to Anshe Knesset Gedolah and the Nevi'im in between. So when they give definitions, it's a definition of God's reality. And so when they call this world Olam HaNisayon, this is a world of the test. In the words of Mesilat Yesharim, famously in the first parak, he tells us that the whole purpose of man in this world is to la'amod, to stand b'nisayon, in a test. And he also claims later on, kol inyane ha'olam, everything that we go through, marriage, children, raising a family, building our careers, our spiritual growth, our personal growth, our contribution locally, in the community, globally, everything that we go through, everything that happens to us, kol inyane ha'olam, hem nisyonot le'adam. They are test after test. But it's still called Olam HaNisayon, which means it's really one long test. So, our sages are calling this world a number of different adjectives. It's called Olam HaSheker. It's not a real world. It's false. It's called Olam HaChoshech, a world of darkness. Olam HaHafuch, it's an upside down world. Because who the world around us celebrate as the idols of success. Oh, if I had that person's fame, or that person's intelligence, if I was a great actor or actress like that person, I would be so happy, I'd feel so fulfilled. And it's Olam HaHafuch, it's so upside down, because the vast majority of the people who the world heralds as heroes, and people that we should perhaps idolize, are in fact the unhappiest, and very often people whose lives are the most sordid, the most complicated, and saturated with pain after pain after pain. So this world is called Olam HaHafuch. It's really upside down. And very many times it's the simple person who's... Oh, sorry, is this better? Thank you. It's the simple Jew who's keeping Hashem's Torah with Mimut is considered Elyon, on top. So there are many different adjectives our sages give. We're going to be looking at Olam HaNisayon. Now, let's try and look at it this way. What is the two-letter root of Nisayon? Nes. What does Nes mean?
Miracle.
Nes means miracle. What else does it mean? Flag. Banner. What else does it mean? Test. Excellent. What else does it mean?
To lift up.
To lift up. Nisa means to elevate, to lift up. What else does it mean? To escape. Lanus means to run away, to escape. Now, Olam HaNisayon means that when the Torah chooses a word to define something, it's not only giving you a definition that's reality, it's giving you the ingredients of that reality. Because Lashon HaKodesh came after the creation or before the creation? Before. Oh, so that means this language dictates and defines the reality of this world. So when we look at the word Nisayon and we discover it has at least 5 different meanings, in English you've got one word for runaway, escape. You have another word for elevate, a different word for banner or flag. You have another word for test. You have another word for miracle. You have separate words for each one. Ribbona Shalala, Master of the Universe, why don't you have a separate word for each of these? Why do you have one word, Nisayon, and in its two-letter root, Nes, it has all these other meanings? And the answer is there are no mistakes in this language. You're looking at the ingredients of a Nisayon. So we're going to look at these ingredients very briefly and see when we're being tested, whether it's being single or being married, having children or not having children yet, or getting kids out of the house, or it's in our career, or it's in our health, or it's in business, or it's in our finances. It makes no difference in which area we are being squeezed. I'm going to use that language, you'll see why soon. It's all part of the same test. So, before I look at the word Nisayon and the 5 different meanings, here's a question. Someone is going for a gold medal in the Olympics. Let's say it's the high jump. And would you bet that he'll be successful without a coach? What would you say? No, why not? Why does everyone who's going to take getting a gold medal in the Olympics, why will they take it so seriously that they have to have a coach? What's the problem without a coach? Why do you need a coach? Experience. Say more.
Helps you to focus.
Helps me focus because the coach is going to make me do the same thing again and again and perfect the movements. What else? Motivation. When I'm tired, I'm really, really tired. So what will coach say?
Push you to go on.
I want another jump. What happens when I make the jump? What will he say? Can I go home now? What will he say?
How good it was better.
I made the jump. I've beaten my record. What will the coach say? Okay, great. Let's take a lunch break. Let's go home.
Do better.
Oh, what will he do? He'll raise the bar. Oh, let's say you make the jump again, and he's raised it a millimeter. Now can you go home? Why not?
Raise it again.
He'll raise it again. What happens if you beat the world record? Can you go home now? Why will he keep raising it? Why? Because how high is high? How high is the highest you can jump? How much can we squeeze out of ourselves? And the answer is, we don't know. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows, but we don't know. So when Hashem's testing us, we'll see in a few moments the metaphor that helps bring this out. Who is it for? Hashem knows everything. So when He's testing us, He knows how high we can go, but who doesn't know how high they can go? Oh, we ourselves. We don't know what's inside of us until we're pushed a little higher, a little higher. It's interesting, in the world of sports, there's a lot of psychological research that shows that sometimes the athletes actually fall into the trap of believing their coach hates them. Because the coach is grueling them, pushing them, and making them do another. And after a while they start, you're just going to fail me. Eventually, another millimeter, I'm going to hit the bar. They start hating and associate the pushing to you're there to fail me. What a ridiculous trap to fall into. The coach is there to squeeze the best out of us. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the Nimshal, in this metaphor, Hashem knows that on our own, we're not going to win a gold medal in the righteous Olympics. That's what we're all in this world for. When we come out of this world, we go to the interview. So, how was our business? Masa matan be'emunah. Was it with trust? Hashem is going to bring me my business with or without me having to figure out other ways of getting it? Was I kovea itim leTorah? Did I take my learning seriously? And it was with ahava. Was I mitzapeh leYeshua? I really was looking forward that when Mashiach comes and we'll all be free to learn His Torah without distractions and without the incredible ta'avot that are bombarding us on a daily, hourly basis. When we get to that divine, it's all preparation. It's all preparation. So Hashem knows that on our own we will not force the best out of us. And so He invented several coaches. Our wives, our husbands, our children. Our marriage is not just about bringing children to the world. If Hashem wanted in His perfect wisdom, He could have had children grow off trees. I know there's some wives who actually would have been quite happy with that idea. But no, Hashem wanted that a child should be born from the parents, and now we are not just umbilically related, but we're invested in this child. It's the same tune as last time, right? Actually, we just put all your phones on vibrate out of respect to those who are trying to fall asleep. So here we are in Olam HaNisayon, and what really comes out is that Hashem has invented different coaches. Marriage, yes, it is about bringing children to the world, but it's more about raising ourselves. The children are here to help raise us. Our children test us on a daily basis. They're squeezing us, and that's a deliberate metaphor, because our sages claim, it's a Medrash Rabbi on Parshat Shemot. That's the context there of Shibud Mitzrayim, slavery in Egypt. And the Jewish people, our sages, compare us to the olive. Why the olive? Because when you squeeze an olive, what comes out? Olive oil. What determines the quality of the oil? How hard you squeeze? Or the ripeness of the olive? Oh, it's the ripeness of the olive. Oh, so when we're squeezed, what comes out? Whatever's inside. So if I'm immature, angry, bitter, frustrated, I've got a lot of really negative associations to this person, to this marriage, to this child, to this parent, to this mother-in-law, this father-in-law. It works every time. If I'm going to hold in anger, resentment, and I don't conquer it, when you squeeze me, it doesn't make a difference who you are. It could be the traffic. It could be a circumstance, it could be the market, it could be the weather, it could be a neighbor, it could be my chavrusa, it could be my neighbor, it could be a friend, it could be my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, it could be my sister. Have we covered everybody? See, it doesn't make a difference who it is that squeezes me. They are all appointed Hashem's coaches in helping me, raise the bar inside me, internally, to see how will I conquer my chaos, my anger. Or will I jump and miss the bar? And if I do miss the bar, what will the coach do? Put the bar back up and give me another chance. Why will the coach do that? Why will he do it? Because he trusts I can what? I can make the jump. I can do it. So in a certain sense, every time the bar goes back up again, what is that a statement of? Confidence. You can.
Trust in you.
Trust in us. So each time we're squeezed by whoever it is that's squeezing us, what it's really behind the scenes is Hashem is saying, I know you can do this. And I'm going to give you another chance, another chance, another chance. You know, the irony is I might be spending half of my Shemona Esrei, half of my prayers, begging God, Benjamin, please, I beg of you, give me patience with that Isha! That husband! Crazy! I beg of you, give me patience! Now, because Hashem loves us, and He listens to our tefillahs, Shomea tefillah, guess who walks in 3 seconds after I finish my davening? That's the one that I'm talking about! He's driving me nuts! Why are you doing this to me, God? And what's God's answer? You just asked me to help you with overcoming patience with this person. And guess what? There's only one way to do that. Practice. Here's an exercise in patience. I'm sending you the very person that's getting on your nerves. Oh, so in a certain ironic way, the very thing that I might actually be praying for, God is answering me. Whether it's the traffic, whether it's people, whether it's circumstances. Oh, so Olam HaNisayon, it's one long Nisayon. And Hashem, because He loves us so much, He gives us another chance, another chance, another chance. And they're camouflaged, brilliantly camouflaged behind people and circumstances. The market, the weather, the boss. It's not real. It's Olam HaSheker. Now, let's go to Nisayon. Let's look at the word Nes. We said it has 5 meanings. Lanus means to run away. Where in the Nisayon, when I'm squeezed by my husband, my wife, my children, my boss, my co-worker, circumstances, where's my invitation to run away? And the simple answer is A, accuse, B, blame, C, complain, or C, compare. You're just like your mother! And I compare you to someone else. I didn't mean to wake you up, sorry, sir. And I complain that it's your fault I'm unhappy in this marriage. It's your fault this child is going in that particular direction. It's your fault you messed up the finance, you spent so much. And I can easily complain. D, deny it's my fault. E, give excuses why it's your fault. And what we've really come up with is a brilliant formula. A, accuse. B, blame. C, complain. D, deny. E, excuse. And if it's always everyone else's fault, I'm blaming, complaining, denying, excusing, who has to change? I don't have to change. Everyone else has to change. Oh, so when Hashem is squeezing me, all I'm doing is turning around and saying, stop squeezing me, you're hurting me, you're hurting me, you're hurting me. Why are you always hurting me? And I end up blaming the world around me. Ultimately, it's just a camouflage for blaming God. But I want to go there, I'm a from Jew, so I don't want to really say that. Hakol b'dei shamayim. Really, it's all in your hands. Chutz mi'Hashem, accept my response to what happens to me. Will I include you in the formula? Are you really behind this, Hashem? Oh, so the easiest way out is for me to run away. And how do I run away? I run away from the test by blaming other people. But really, that's a sheker. It's not real. And Hashem is going to be my coach. He'll send me another nisayon. And if I run away from this marriage, if I don't take a clarity with me of how to be more sensitive, more giving, more understanding into the next marriage, well, if I'm going to just take the same old me into the next marriage, into the next job, guess what? Well, it's not going to be soon before I'm getting tested in the same way, because I haven't changed that much. Oh. So number one of this, I can run away. Number two, I can elevate myself. Nisa means to elevate. How do we elevate ourselves? How? When we conquer ourselves, how do we feel? When we have the opportunity to speak lashon hara or onat dvarim, to hurt people with words, or sharp words, or insults, or unkind words, or comparisons. Or motzi shemra, even worse, to defame another person, but we close our mouth, we guard our tongue, and we hold back. How do we feel afterwards? Do we feel, what a lost opportunity to have really badmouthed that person? I had the perfect opportunity, there was a whole discussion, and they brought up his name, and I could have said, yeah, but you don't know what I know, and then that would have been all opening, and I'd have all their ears. Or do we feel elevated that we controlled ourselves? When it comes to food, and we hold ourselves back from something that we know is not that nutritious, probably not that healthy, or hold back from eating less than my body actually needs, because if I eat more than my body needs, I'm putting much more taxing on my digestion and my metabolism to have to break this food down. Oh, so when we conquer ourselves, when we set a limit, El means power, Al means don't. Elokim, El is the two-letter root of Hashem's name, because he's the power behind all powers. And what's real power? To say yes to another cookie? To say yes to my eyes? To say yes to my mouth? Or is real power to be in control and set a limit? Oh, stop. Oh, real power is to be able to be in control of our lives. The secular world, especially democracy, what a brilliant invention. Democracy is self-destructing right as we see in front of our eyes, because it's redefined everything. In the world of democracy, freedom of thought, freedom of speech, free to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, in any which way we want. The new definition of freedom almost sounds rational, but it's actually a camouflage for slavery to desires. And what it's really done is legitimize same-gender marriages. That's not freedom. That's putting things out of control. Children being raised in a world that's so confusing, that's not giving them more options. That's giving them more confusion. Oh, so freedom is being totally redefined, and it's actually a form of slavery. So comes along Hazal and tell me, Nisa means to elevate. We elevate ourselves when we take control of ourselves. Whether it's in food, whether it's in speech, whether it's our eyes. And even a small bit of control can go a long, long way. We'll see in a few minutes an example. Okay, so I can run away. I can elevate myself. Why is Nes also a flag, a banner? The Targum on Nes often is Ot, it's a sign. Why? Because what's the concept, what's the message of a flag, a banner? Oh, it gives me identity. Like the Shvatim, the 12 tribes in the Midbar, in the desert, we each had our own identity that was on that sign. That was our signature. That was the particular color that resembled our tribe. Oh, so the concept of a sign is it gives me identity and also shows me direction. This is the direction I'm going in. Oh, because when we're squeezed, what comes out is a sign. It's a banner, it's a flag. What comes out of me is what's inside of me, so I get to see me. This is who I am. With my anger, this is who I am in my response to frustration. This is who I am in my response to sharp words or my impatience. And before I know it, what I'm really looking at is really, oh, this is the direction I'm going in. I get to see me. It's ultimate intimacy. Into me see. A sign shows me, this is the direction I'm going in. So that when we're squeezed, it's not people hurting us. It's the Rabbi Shalom, and he's not in the business of squeezing to hurt. He's in the business of squeezing to reveal me to myself. People don't shape us. Circumstances don't shape us. People and circumstances reveal us to ourselves. So it's a sign. I get to see, this is a flag, this is the direction I'm going, this is who I am right now. But I have bechira, I have free will. Can I change? Can I make the jump? Can I close my eyes? Can I reduce the amount of time I'm on my cell phone? Can I reduce the time that I'm on my Blackberry? It's so addictive I forget its real name. So can I be in control of my life, or does technology control me? So that here I am driving with a cup of coffee in one hand and cell phone in the other, maneuvering the steering wheel with my left knee and changing stations to get the news and traffic with my elbow. And the question begs, what am I doing? So you could argue, I'm driving. You say, no, I'm on the phone. You say, no, I'm drinking coffee. You say, no, I'm changing stations. And you're all right. And the question is, where am I? Where's the real me? I'm all over the place. Oh, when we see what we are, am I focused on the direction I want to be in? Where am I really going? I'm here at home with my wife. I'm 16. What? I can hear every word you're saying. I can repeat every word you just said. Now, why are they a little bit upset with me? Because who's the real me? Now, of course, this doesn't relate to any of us, but some of us have neighbours who know what I'm talking about. Now, why are they upset? Who's the real me? My fingers, my body, or my mind? Which is the real me? For those still awake, which is the real me? My mind. So, if my spouse or my kids, they're talking to me, and I'm busy, I'm listening. I can repeat every word you said. But they can see that even though geographically I'm located in front of them, and that I can technically repeat the words, then why are they upset with me? Because the real me, my mind, is not paying attention. I'm not really focused. Which direction am I going in? And this Zion is an invitation for me to see me. It's an invitation for me to be real with myself and ask myself, is this who I want to be? This is the sign, this is the direction, this is the flag that I'm going in. It's a mirror turned in my direction, so I get to see me. Is that who I want to be? Do I want to change direction? Do I want to change the only person I was created to change? Because if I try to change my spouse, if I try to change my kids, very funny. If I tried to change my mother-in-law, yeah, my father-in-law, it never happened in world history. It never happened. And if we think it did, it wasn't real. It was only while our backs were while we're facing them, but the moment our backs are turned, they'll do what they want anyway. It's not real change. Real change is inside out, not outside in. Because they're afraid of me, and that's change. No, they're just behaving while I'm home. The moment I'm out, they'll party, they'll do what they want, be on the phone, call whoever they... real change is not affected when I try to change you. And I can spend a lot of energy trying to change you. I could spend a lifetime trying to change you. I can analyze it for a long time. But ultimately, the only person I can really change is me. And when we change ourselves, here's the chap. Here's the real insight. When we change ourselves, what happens to the people in our lives?
You change as well.
Oh, they're responding to a different us, so they change too. Oh, that's real change. Real change is when we change ourselves. More listening, understanding, more focused, more giving, generous, more sensitive, more empathic, more considerate, more forgiving. That's a biggie. Wow. When we change ourselves, people, especially our spouse, our children, change in response to us. Olam HaNisayon means Hashem loves us so much, He'll keep raising the bar again and again and again. And I might mistakenly think, you're just hurting me, driving me nuts. I'm fighting on every front, I can't take it anymore. And Hashem said, don't worry, I'll give you another chance. You blew it just now with your anger, but I'll give you another chance. And I'll send you another person, a different person, to press your buttons. And that's what it's really about. So number one, I can run away. Nisa, lanus means to run away, escape. Number two, nisa means to elevate. Rashi tells us that, Perek Kaf Bet, in the Nisayon of the Akedah, when Hashem Nisa elevated Avraham, it was a Nisayon that was there to elevate him. Or I can accept that this is really there as a flag. It helps me see me. And there's another meaning. It can also mean miracle. What's the miracle? Now, what's our definition of a miracle? Briat HaOlam. If there were any witnesses at Briat HaOlam, in the words of Rabbi Victor Miller, our blood vessels would have burst from excitement to see the world unfold in 6 days. That's incredible. Kriyat Yamsuf. The lowest Shivcha, a maidservant. Now, why is she a maidservant? Because I haven't got the brains for anything else. And she was zocher to see insights of the clarity of Hashem's existence that even great Nevi'im who spent their lives as a full-time career were not zocher to. They weren't worthy. Kriyat Yamsuf, what a miracle. Water split. Or if you were there during the Makot, the plagues, you saw water switch to blood. Earth turned to lice. Wind was blowing the locusts and then back, so there was another power blowing the wind. Light and darkness, for the Mitzrayim was completely dark. Who turned their lights out? And you're walking in pure daylight, and they can't see anything, and you see all of nature changing in front of your eyes. Light, dark, water, ice, fire, hail, barad, nes b'toch nes. You would be super impressed, and you would definitely agree, that's a miracle. Matan Torah, what a miracle! But let's be honest with ourselves. All those definitions define the miracle from our human perspective. Let's ask the real question. Ribbana Shalala, Master of the Universe, you are the ultimate definer of reality. So in your reality, what would you define as a miracle? What would you be so impressed by that you would say, wow, that's a nes? And the answer is, when a human being changes their nature. The only area that you and I are really functioning in, Hakol B'dei Shemayim. How much is Hakol? 96%, 97%, 98 there, 99. What's Hakol? It's 100%. There's no room for that. Hakol B'dei Shemayim. Hashem is in control of everything. Chutz. Oh, what's the chutz? Yirat Shemayim. Do I see Him? Am I in awe of Him? Do I include Him in my bechira? Is He part of my life? Oh, so when we change ourselves, that's the miracle. Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's Hashem's definition of a miracle. Oh, so a Nisayon contains all the ingredients. But the ultimate goal of the Nisayon is, will I change me? Now let's look at how easy it is for me to fall into blaming God. How often will I say, you know what, Rabbi Shalom? I did what you told me to do. I went to yeshiva, I was a good boy, I was a good bach, I tried my best, but I'm not that big of a learner. I didn't really put in that much effort, and the proof is that when I went to work and I had time to learn, I went to a shir instead of me like preparing for the shir, so at least I could try and figure it out myself. But no, instead I get spoon-fed, and I'm happy with that, and then I go back to work, and the next day I go to another shir, and guess who's really benefiting? I'm not really learning, I'm listening, I'm learning, I'm getting schar tam Torah, but I'm milcham teshal Torah. Am I really trying to figure this out myself? Oh, that's real. When do we gain the most? When we're fed? Or when we discover it ourselves? Where do we feel we're growing the most? When someone gives us the answers? Or we come to the answers ourselves? Oh, so going to a Daf Yomi shir, for example, and preparing a little bit before, doing Chazara afterwards, making sure I'm getting it right by going to the shir. But passive learning, that, Rabbi Shalom, you know what? I look at myself and I say, you know what? Yeah, I went to see him on Shas and it was really nice, very inspiring. But I ask myself, how much do I remember? What do I know? Very, very little. I've done almost nothing. I feel like I'm a nothing. Now, I could easily say, why didn't you give me a Rabbi that forced it out of me, made me think for myself? Why don't you help me get a chavrusa that doesn't do all the talking, but actually lets me say something? Or makes Rebecca like, why do I have to go such a difficult marriage? He drives me nuts. I gave him the best years of my life. Now, no one here can relate to any of this. Some of you are friends who know what I'm talking about. When I blame my spouse or my kids or my father, my mother, you know what? If you had parents like me, you would understand why I am such a basket case, and you would have turned out worse. And I could easily be stuck with, why did you do this? Why couldn't I have that person's intelligence, or that person's family, or their background, or their financial backing? Why did you do this? Why? Now here's my question. Lashon HaKodesh, we agree, defines reality. How do you say why in Lashon HaKodesh, biblical Hebrew? How do you say why? Madua and Lama. Now why do you have two whys in Lashon HaKodesh? And the answer is, because there's two whys. Madua, that comes from two-letter root, da. What does da mean? Knowledge. Give me the information, give me the knowledge that enables me to understand how events ended up this way. So I went to this type of yeshiva, and this type of upbringing, this type of education, this type of home, this type of community, this type of parenting, the way I was raised, and that's how I turned out the way I am today. And that madua sends me to which time zone? Future, present, or past? Past. Sends me to the past. Madua is asking me, give me the information from the past, in sequence, chronologically, or whichever, to help me understand why it is the way it is now. That's one why. But there's another one. Lama. Lamed, in front of ma. What does lamed as a prefix mean? Two. And it has another meaning, which is four. Now, what's the difference between 2 and 4? It's not a mathematical question. What's the difference between 2 and 4? 2 is direction, 4 is purpose. Oh, ma. To what is this leading? For what purpose? Now, when we read the Chumash and Nach, open up worlds. Because whenever it has Madua, you'll realize it's not asking Lama, and Lama's not asking Madua. They're two completely different whys. If I get stuck with Madua, I can go back into the way my parents were raised, and that's how they raised me. And then after 15 years of therapy, I finally get how my spouse was raised so differently. Oh, now I see. And now instead of being so judgmental, I get it. I could go back into Gilgal and discover that it's really my husband's assistant preschool teacher in her previous life cycle. And there's no end to going into Madua. But it sends me to the past. And the past is only useful if each time I go there, I take with me something that helps give me more clarity now into the future. But what happens if every time I go back to Madua, I revisit the pain, anger, frustration, disappointment, blaming, complaining? Here you have, imagine you have a biography. Someone wrote a book, an autobiography, and chapter 6, about his adolescence, went through a traumatic period. And actually that person in the future chapters really took tremendous lessons out from the trauma and became someone that was able to contribute and help so many other people. Now imagine you have a friend and you say, hey, did you read that book I recommended? Say, yeah, it's unbelievable. I can't believe the pain of this guy. Yeah, but what about when you get into the later book? No, you don't understand. Chapter 6 is unbelievably painful. I can't believe how painful it is. Yeah, but did you get to the future? No, you don't understand. There's so much to learn from chapter 6, and he's stuck in chapter 6. He won't let go of reading the pain and revisiting it and again and again and again. And even after you force him to read the future chapters, his focus is on chapter 6, where it was all the trauma. That was the starting of the trauma. What would you say to the person? Don't you see that the book is much bigger than chapter? There was one chapter. Why are you stuck on that chapter? And here I am, when I was 17, 18, I was traumatized, and now I'm 56, and I'm going back, and I'm revisiting, rehashing, reopening the can of worms, and a week later, reopen it again, another week later, reopen it again. I can analyze this for a long time, until there are no worms left. But the problem is, if the only thing I get when I go there is revisit pain, and I uncover a new layer of insight, of pain that I didn't realize, of how much damage that person really did to me. And now I'm really angry. If I see that Madua is eating me up, is that the Yetzer Hara or the Yetzer Tov? Oh, for sure that's the Yetzer Hara. He's keeping me on chapter 6, and Hashem wants me to move weiter. It's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful life. Hashem has a plan. He's going to bring Mashiach. He's going to build a Beis HaMikdash. He's going to bring Tirat HaMetim. There's a beautiful ending. And Klal Yisrael, we're still around. None of us went to school with a Roman, a Hittite, an Amorite. We're the only ones still here, except Yishmael, but that's part of a promise. Avram was given by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're the only people still here. We're Am Olam. We're an eternal nation. Move forward. And we've got in our genes the ability to stop looking back. We don't get stuck with the Holocaust. We've rebuilt Klal Yisrael. Look at Lakewood, look at the Mere, look at the communities in London, England, America, all over. We've rebuilt ourselves. We're not fixated on Madua. But there is another why. Lama. In the Targum, Madua is Madain, and Lama is Le Madain. For what's this? Now watch this. First time HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives a good, encouraging Mussar Shmuz to the first person who's deeply depressed in Tanakh. And his name is Cain. Perek Dalet. And Hashem says to Cain, you remember the story? Cain had a brilliant idea. Leftover crops, what shall I do with it? You know, I got an idea. How about I give it a gift to Hashem? Now, Hevel, his twin brother, says, that is such a good idea. And he goes and does the same thing. He also brought, but he brought from the best sheep, shearings of his sheep. And now, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? El Kain v'minchato lo sha'a. He didn't accept Cain's. He rejected Cain's mincha, but he accepted Hevel's. What's Cain's response? He's really angry. Now, what's Hashem's question to Cain? Hashem said, you know what? I'm going to come out of hiding and I'm going to talk to Cain about this because I really want to set things straight right at the beginning of my Torah because this could get really bad. Cain, Vayam Hashem el Cain, Lama hamelach. Why are you angry? Lama naflu fanecha. Why have your facial expressions fallen? Very powerful language. Now, when you read the English translation, it's very dangerous. Why are you angry? Duh. Let's play back a few moments. He brought you a present, you rejected it. He feels rejected by you. He's upset. Do you get it? Now that would have made sense if it was Madua. Doesn't say Madua. Hashem's not asking, give me the chronological sequence of why you got to here. There's a totally different why. Lama! Charalach. For what are you angry? Where will your anger get you? To where? Let's plot it. What's going to be? How, when you go home, how are you going to be with your wife and your children? With this anger? Where will it lead to if you don't control it in your relationship to your brother? And what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? So I want you to know, by the way, imitative, if you really want to correct yourself, says, you can elevate yourself. But if not, la petach, at the first opening, the first opportunity, hatat rovetz, the Yetzer Hara is crouching. Crouching is a very powerful language. He's not even standing next to you, he's crouching, so he shouldn't lose a second in attacking you. And what will be the opening? You feeling down on yourself, rotten, angry. Lama naflu fanecha, your facial expressions have all fallen. That means nothing will cheer you up. It doesn't matter how funny it is. I am seething. My blood is boiling. I cannot believe it was my idea. And God did not accept my gift. That brother! And he's so fixated on his brother, what did he end up doing? First murder in history. First murder in history. And Hashem hasn't given up on Cain, because instead of accusing him directly, what did he do? What did Hashem do? He asked him a question. Where's your brother? What was Hashem inviting him? Who's squeezing him? What was he inviting him to respond? I can't believe I just killed my brother. I just can't believe it. What did he say? Wait, am I supposed to be his bodyguard? What do you mean, where's my brother? Why are you asking me? Oh, that really ticked Hashem off. But I'm just looking at the language, lama. Hashem wasn't asking him, give me the past. He's asking him, Cain, who writes the script of your future? You, with your Bechira. I'm releasing you. Hakol b'nei Shemayim. But you get to choose how you're going to respond to that father, that brother, the mother-in-law, the brother-in-law, the circumstance, the loss of the job, loss of a loved one. You get to choose how to move forward. With or without resentment, with or without simcha, with or without being strong and saying, Rabbi Shalom, you are in my life. Or you want to ignore me? That's okay, I'll give you another chance to see me. And if you ignore me then, I'll give you another chance. Oh, so I'm here to create the miracle. We are the Nes in the Nisayon. Hashem is inviting us to be the miracle. We spoke a little bit last time about a few personalities throughout Tanakh. And you will find, inevitably, the greatest, most towering, outstanding personalities were not necessarily the ones who had the easiest lives. It was very seriously an Olam HaNisayon for any and all of them. More recently, Moshe Chevroni was at a bris of a grandson, and the grandchildren of the Chavetz Chaim, San Zerav, some other very notable Rosh Hashiva's grandchildren were at this bris milah. Moshe Chevroni stands up and he says, "You are all thinking that your grandfather was the Gadol Hador. So I'm here to tell you that the person who had the most impact in the last 100 years on Klal Yisrael was none of your fathers." So then it's a little bit stirring, a little bit controversial. Just sit down, it's just a simcha. Secondly, he adds salt to the accusation. Says not only is it not any of your fathers, but I'm going to tell you, the one person who had the most impact on Klal Yisrael in the last 100 years never went to yeshiva. Never learned a blot of Gemara. And when I tell you that person's name, you're all going to agree with me that nobody had the impact that this one person had. And then he said, her name, Sarah Schneera. And they were Moida. Sarah Schneera, married, divorced. No children. Married, divorced. Seamstress. How's that look on the resume? Not for my son, thank you. Do you have any other suggestions? And actually, maybe I hope you have no other suggestions. No. Knocking on doors. She had an idea. I guarantee you, she had a choice. She could have easily said, Rabbi Shlomo, why me? All I've got to show I'm just a seamstress, I'm married, didn't work, divorced, married, didn't work, I've got no children, I've got nothing to show for myself. And she could have lived a life of self-pity, and I don't think we would have had a difficult time being done kafchus. You're talking about almost 100 years ago. To be divorced, that's bad enough, but once, twice, no kids. I know this is not popular information, but I think it's extremely important for us to recognize. Here's someone who was not stuck on Madua. Why me? Madua. Why me? She was fixated on Lama. I would even say, metaphorically speaking, she couldn't spell Madua. It wasn't in her vocabulary. She was fixated on, there's a problem in Klal Yisrael, and I see it in front of my eyes. I've got friends who are falling off the derech. They're going to the gymnasiums. That's not today's gymnasiums. The high schools and universities. The professors are kidnapping the minds of thousands of our youth to socialism, communism, even fascism, Zionism, political Zionism. And she saw that the future of Klal Yisrael is the daughters. And if they don't have a frame of reference of why the Torah is true, why the Rebbeinu Shalom is true, and they can't show you inside a text, we're going to lose those girls to every ism out there. And she knocked on doors and doors and doors until eventually she got a bracha, 2 words from the Belzerov. Was it Belzerov or Babarov? I think it was the Belzerov. It was the Belzerov, I think. Through her brother. She didn't hear it herself, got it from her brother. And what were the 2 words? Mazel and bracha. And that was enough to fuel her. A contingency of Balabatim went to the Chavetz Chaim. And they put out a petition. They wanted not just put her in Cherem, to get the Chavetz Chaim behind them as well. And he listened to them. He went into the back room and said, I'm going to get some money. And they were sure that he was going to make a contribution. And he did. He says, I'm making you my shlichim, that you should give this money to Sarah Shnira. I want to be part of this. She didn't give up. She started with 5 Talmidot. By 1939, she had over 30,000 students. It got decimated through the war, but the inspiration that she sparked in thousands of young ladies to be teachers and to teach text to our daughters continued after the war. And today there's not a person in this room who's not here because this lady was fixated on Lama, not Madua. For what am I witnessing this? What am I going to do about it? And she was not stuck on, but who am I? Married, divorced, no kids. Married, divorced. You're not going to, you have to read between the lines when you read the biographies to get the full details. But I think it's her shavach. I'll mention another towering tzaddik. It doesn't sound good for me to put it this way, but you'll understand in a few seconds. He had 8 sons. 1 never went off the derech, stayed all the way. All other 7 went off the derech. 1 of them eventually came back, right at the end of his life. What type of track record does that look to you? Has 8 sons, 7 went off the derech, 1 never went off the derech, and of the other 7, the first one he gave birth to came back at the end of his life. Are you impressed by that track record? Be honest. And who are we referring to? Avram Avinu. He wasn't stuck on Madua. He's stuck on Lama. I have a promise, and I'm working towards that promise. To what is this Nisayan? He could have easily thrown in the towel. David HaMelech. Wow. Mashiach Hashem. David HaMelech went through Gehenna on earth, literally. He was completely rejected, almost entirely by his entire family. Shmuel HaNavi told Yishai, Tzadik Gamor, to line up his sons. And in Yishai's mind, it wasn't half a minute that David HaMelech was the next one after Shaul. It wasn't half a minute. And only after Shmuel HaNavi saw that Hashem was not connecting, he said, do you have any other sons? Yeah, but okay. And this was someone who, looked through the Mefarshim, it was a suffix, not just Moab or Moabite, it was a suffix whether he was even a legitimate Jew. Not going into the details in the story. Oh, David HaMelech was not even fully appreciated by his own family. His own wife Michal, who wore tefillin all day. She was a tzedekos, towering tzedekos. She saved his life. She was extremely devoted to him, but didn't fully appreciate who she was married to. She saw him dancing wild in front of the Aron for the first time in Jewish history. It's about to find a home in Yerushalayim, and she interpreted or misinterpreted his dancing as denigrating himself in front of the maidservants, the servants. She lost the chance to have children till her last day. She had children before them and no more until then. Michal, she adored her husband, didn't fully appreciate who he really was. He was in love with Hashem. He was drunk with Simcha, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, your Aaron, the Luchais. Our Masorah is coming to Yerushalayim. David HaMelech went through Gehenna on earth, and look who he became. Sweet singer of Yisrael. The one who will father the Mashiach. The one who prepared the building of the Beis HaMikdash. David HaMelech's 150 love songs speaks to the full spectrum of all human emotions. The entire gamut of human experience. Even the Christians, tens of millions, no guzma. I may be wrong actually, it might be in the hundreds of millions, but tens of millions are reciting his psalms every Sunday morning. And that's in translation, that's not even the original. He speaks to everybody. Because he was real in his relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. He was real about the pain. And he was stuck on Lema. He was not fixated on Madua. Madua is legitimate if it propels me forward, if it makes me stronger now. But if it pulls me back into Madua to just uncover another layer of pain, another reminder of what she did, another whole new insight of why I should be angry or frustrated or revengeful, has v'shalom. Oh, don't go there. Please don't go there. Because that's not the hallmark of a Jew. The hallmark of a Jew is I'm here to ask a different why. For what? Who will I become if I let go and forgive? What will I gain with the mourning after 12 months? What will I gain if I don't let go of the resentment, the anger, frustration, or bitterness? Because who's really suffering the most? Rabbi Basus quoted the Rosh this morning that one of the problems with anger is it simply destroys my health. So who's not going to sleep tonight? Who's got problems with possible ulcers in their stomach because they won't let go of the anger? Oh, ma. To what will it lead? Could it lead to murder, jealousy, unbridled? Hashem spoke openly. Now here's the question. Olam Nisayan, I wouldn't be surprised if the biggest Nisayan is to recognize how great is small. How big is small. Because if I really took the small seriously, one Amen, does it really make a difference? Pronouncing the words clearly and loudly, does that really make a difference? Doing another chazara, doing one line of Gemara, get that question and review it 5, 10, 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, and see the difference, taste the difference. Go for another line, and help the kasha, read it again, and if necessary with the Rashi. If there another mafarsh, get the kasha, read it again and again and again. Now go to the third line, but before you do, quickly review the first and second line. The question, the answer, and now it's quoting a pasuk. Read the pasuk again and again. And taste, ta'amuru, taste, chazara, taste, mastery, taste the sense of, oh, I'm covering ground, and it's real. I'm getting a kinyan. Learning a little bit more of the Perush of Milas, or Mefarshim on the Siddur, and taste the words that Chazal injected in the Siddur, Baruch HaKodesh, to wake us up to the love of Hashem. I think the biggest Nisayan, possibly, is realizing how big is small. Example, light. brother-in-law and nephew, simultaneously to Avram Avinu. When he finally decided he's splitting off Perek Yud Gimel from Avram Avinu, and he moves to Las Vegas. To Sodom. Sorry. Probably the same gematria. So he moved to Sodom, and what happens? He gets caught up and captured in the First World War, 4 kings against 5 kings, and really all that was a camouflage to eventually capture Avram Avinu. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're a Baal Musa, what an invitation! Avram Avinu is calling together his family. What a brilliant opportunity! Rabbi Sai, let's take a very serious lesson. Look what happens to the Rasha! The moment he goes off the derech! Look how Kadosh Baruch Hu brings retribution for us to realize. This is what happens when you go off the derech. His speech was written by light. What was Avram Avinu's response? What did he say? Who's coming with me to save light? You're going to fight? You're going to enter a world war, you with 318 trained soldiers? Or maybe it's just Eliezer? Really? But Avram Avinu, do you realize what risk you're taking? For light, who's chosen a completely different value system, his love for money, you're willing to give up your future. But not only your future, you and me. Question. What's the chus? What was the merit that light had to deserve to be saved by Avram Avinu? What did he do right in his lifetime? What one good thing did he do? Oh, he was silent. When? In the palace of Parai. When Avram Avinu said, light, please tell everybody that your sister Sarah Imenu, my wife, is really my sister, because if they find out she's my wife, they're going to knock me off and take her. And what does Lot do? Light's Achilles' heel. What was his Achilles' heel? What was his weak spot? Money. Love money. Who right now was the heir to Avram Avinu? Light. Yitzhak's not born yet. Oh. And could he make a deal with Parai? Listen, Parai, I want a private session, just a few minutes with you. You know this. He's telling you about this lady that it's his sister. It's really his wife. You knock him off, she's yours. And just that information might be worth something. What did he do? He kept quiet. I heard this from Rabbi Naftali Friedler, who was a Rosh Yeshiva in Toronto many years. He was a Talmud Muvchak from Rav Dessler. So he told me this in the name of his Rabbi, Rav Dessler, that light's silence saved his life. Was it worth it? That one moment of silence, 1 second, play the tape forward. Who was born because of light's silence? His 2 daughters were saved as well, and because of that, who was born? Oh, Rus. And who was born because of Rus? Oh, David HaMelech. And who will be or is born because of David HaMelech? Mashiach. Look how this one small moment of silence, in a moment of being Aymed bin Sion, was not small at all. He contributed not only to saving his own life and those of his daughters, and then eventually bringing into the world David HaMelech because of light silence, and eventually Mashiach. Wow, how's that possible? Says Rav Friedler in the name of his Rebbe, Rav Dessler, because we have no clue how HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. He gave us a clue. What's that clue? Lefum Sarah Agra. How difficult is it? Oh, that's what counts the most. Oh, it's difficult to control anger? Wow! What an amazing invitation for greatness. Lama, Rebbein Shalom, this is the Nisyonos that I'm going through. This is what I've been through. This is what you've given me. Help me see Lama. For what? Help me see what? How can I become stronger because of it? What clarity can I take that will make me a healthier person, a happier person, a more giving person? Because you and I, we're all inspired by those who've actually gone through difficulty and don't let go of loving Hashem. There's so much more to be said. It's a very important subject. I'm going to close on the following story. I want to tell you about a gentleman. You probably don't know him. His name is Avram David Weiss. I invite you, I've done this in public a number of times, I invite you to visit him. He lives at number 6 Wiener Drive in Monsey, New York. I know it's a plane from here, but if you're ever in Monsey, go visit him. He's a Vision Chassid. He's got a permanent smile on his face. And that's despite the fact that he has ALS. ALS is Lou Gehrig's disease. There's no known cure for it. Right now, the only part of his entire body that moves are a few muscles in his lips and his eyes. That's it. He can't speak. His entire body, he's in a special chair. They've got a very special technology, which I'll describe in just a few seconds. And he has a plaque made in his living room. You go inside there, you'll be so inspired by this man and his wife. Ladies, you've got to meet his wife. This man is smiling permanently. And he has a plaque that says, I have ALS. ALS is the Rosh Tevus for this disease. And under the A, he wrote always. Under the L, he wrote live. Under the S, he wrote smiling. Always live smiling. This man was diagnosed with ALS. He had 6 children and wasn't able to have any children since then. And I'll never forget the first time I went to visit him. His younger children were literally climbing on him. They love him. He has in front of him a screen. It's a computer monitor and a special technology that has a camera fixated on his eyes. And there's an A, B, C, an olive base. And when his eye is fixated on any ice, any letter for more than 1.5 seconds, it gets printed at the bottom of the screen. Next letter, printed, next letter, space, next letter. Then he goes to an icon of a microphone in the top right-hand corner, and he looks at that for over 1.5 seconds, and it will read the sentence. And that's how he communicates with his wife and children. He learns all day and most of the night. He made a siyum on Shas Be'iyun 3 years ago. Over 200 Rabbanim came. Rabbi Schlesinger Shlita of Monsey, who's a Bakin Kolatura Kula, he said he doesn't know if there's ever been a siyum in world history of Shas by someone who learned the Fum Tzara Agra with so much difficulty. This man is extraordinary. Let me share with you what his non-Jewish aide told me. He has a rotation of 3 aides for 8-hour shifts. And one of them told me that this is his favorite patient. Why? Because most people in this particular condition, they're in so much yush, they have despaired, and they're so unhappy, they become extremely bitter. Their spouses and their children start distancing themselves. They become ashamed. And this man, he's constantly happy. The first thing he'll always say on the screen is, I have a wonderful wife. And he screams her praises. And she's got unbelievable munah. It's amazing what a bala simcha she is. It's amazing how happy this man is. And what's perhaps the biggest raya, the biggest demonstration that this is real, is the children adore their father. He does homework with all his kids. He's a private tutor of Mishnayos with Bochrim that he had from before. He continues doing. He gives them tests, and it's based on what he learns on the screen. He has access to over 50,000 Sfarim on Oitzer HaHachma, and this non-Jewish aide told me that almost everybody in this type of condition, they die within about 3, max 5 years. He's already over a decade in this condition, and he also told me most people in this condition are asleep about 21 to 23 hours a day because they don't want to wake up. They're in a prison. Their body is literally worse than a prison, and they're usually so unhappy, so bitter, so angry that people start distancing themselves, family, until they become so lonely their body eventually closes down with their mind. And this man, no guzma, is on average awake 21 hours a day learning. They have a special minion, they come in, they daven with him. Why am I telling you this? Because here is a person that is an unusual tzaddik, an unusual person who's got every reason to be upset, angry, and shut down. And he's fighting for his life with a smile. And he injects simcha. And I can tell you, every time I come out of there, the first thing that goes through my mind is, what were my problems again? I'm trying to remember. Duh! I mean, what am I complaining about? And the answer is nothing. God owes me nothing. Being alive is everything. And if you don't believe it, try being 6 feet under. There's nothing to do there. While I'm here, that's God's biggest demonstration He loves us. Because if we get up in the morning, that's the biggest proof He hasn't given up on us. And I'm here to know that the smallest small is big. And how big is big? If life's one moment of silence, He didn't even do anything. He just kept quiet. But that was Gevura. That was really conquering Himself. And we're benefiting from that Ad Hayom. Now watch Lemafreya, which means that every effort we make to not let go of our Yiddishkeit and be besimcha with Hashem's mitzvahs, we are justifying our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, and all their Mesirus Nefesh, that we would be in this possibly last generation not letting go. Because every smile counts, every amen counts, every tefillah counts, every word of learning counts, every chazara counts, every kind word to our children, every appreciation, every hug, all counts. And how much does it count? We are justifying all the efforts of Klal Yisrael of the last thousands of years that we should arrive smiling with Mashiach, saying, we've been waiting for you. And He'll say, wow, you're still wearing tefillin every morning? Amidst a crazy world that's redefined everything, you're still wearing tzitzit. You're still learning Torah before you leave davening, before davening. You're doing your masa matan be'emunah. Wow, you didn't let go. And the small that we don't realize how big it is will be gigantic on the movie screen when Mashiach comes, and we'll see. Thank you, Rabbi Shloim, that you gave me the chance to be squeezed again and again, and you trusted that I would eventually make the jump in the schus of us not letting go of small and believing Hashem loves us no matter what. May we all be zeichet to see the coming of Mashiach. Amen. Amen.